agreed with it.
We're learning more and more about the targeting and prosecution and extortion of political agenda can take anything that someone says, edit it, misrepresent it, prosecute it, and then extort confessions by threatening family members, and to do so with impunity. Why would anyone in his right mind ever want to talk to an FBI agent again?
Well, I don't, I haven't reached judgments, and I'm not suggesting that all those facts you set forth are true, and we have not, at this point, challenged the actions of I've defended the actions of the prosecutors in this case in court. The order of business right now is, knowing what we know now, we don't think any of the U.S. attorneys in the department would have prosecuted this case, partly because of the behavior of the FBI, but also because the evidence is not there to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. And part of what I'm trying to establish is that we will use the same standards for everybody before we indict anybody. And this goes for both sides. We won't prosecute anybody unless there's proof beyond a reasonable doubt that they committed a crime, and not some kind of esoteric made-up crime, but a meat and potatoes crime.
For more than 3 years, the most powerful agencies in our government took information that was fabricated by agents of a political campaign that they knew was fraudulent, used it as justification to launch an investigation alleging treason against a presidential candidate, then leaked the existence of that investigation in a manner that was clearly calculated to affect the outcome of the election, and then failing that, used it in a largely successful attempt to obstruct the duly elected president. Are you going to be able to right this wrong before it becomes a precedent for future election interference by corrupt officials in our justice and intelligence agencies?
I really can't predict that. I think, as you know, John Durham is looking at all these matters. COVID did delay that action for a while, but he's working very diligently. And, justice is not something you order up on a schedule like you're ordering a pizza.
Well, there are many of us who are concerned that if you were succeeded by someone like Keith Ellison as Attorney General, that this will become an institutionalized practice and the investigation of Mr. Durham will simply go away.
I understand your concern.
One more thing. A term we keep hearing from the left is, oh, these are mostly peaceful protests, mostly peaceful. It seems to me that you either are or you're not. Calling what's happening in our cities mostly peaceful protests is a lot like calling Scott Peterson a mostly faithful husband or Al Capone a mostly law-abiding businessman. There is a constitutional right to peaceably assemble. Where does that right stop?
When it becomes violence, criminal activity. And that's the challenge here. I mean, you have a lot of people who are out protesting and demonstrating, and that's important First Amendment activity that we believe strongly in and try to protect. The particular violent opportunists that are involved here get into those crowds and then start engaging in very violent activity and hijack it. And a lot of protesters have been telling law enforcement and providing information to us about these people who are not with them, they're not demonstrators, but they're coming in. And a lot of the demonstrators leave when that happens because they see what's happening themselves.
Would you call that violence a myth?
Gentleman's time?
No.
The gentleman's time has expired. Mr. Liu.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Barr, for being here today.